What's up, PTB Nation? Welcome to another episode of Parking the Bus. This is episode 79, and I'm here with you again. I am the Mr. Mike Agostinho. You can see my handle right there on the screen for those of you watching. And if you are watching right now, whether you're on Twitter or you're watching on Facebook or you're watching on YouTube, please go over to the Parking the Bus PTB Media Network YouTube channel, okay? Go over to the YouTube channel, hit subscribe, hit the little bell next to it so you get notified when I go live or when I air a show. All right, a lot of content coming up. This is going to become a regular thing, and I'm back again tonight. Thank you to everyone who watched last night. Thank you to everyone who listened to the podcast this morning, who downloaded it in your player. Thank you. It was fun. It was a lot of fun to get back on here and talk about different kinds of football as I did yesterday. And today we got more to talk about. I mean, this is an absolute crazy time of year in this sport. Tonight's episode, we're focusing mostly on the Brasileirao, okay? We're into week 6. Some teams have played 7 matches already, and we are into that right now. And I'm going to catch you up to speed. But first, I'm going to go through today's headlines because a lot happened today in the world of football. And you can see down there on the bottom on the ticker telling you this is episode 79 of Parking the Bus. And right there, you see the Twitter handle to follow the show on Twitter and on Instagram at PTB_media. If you want to be part of the Parking the Bus team, hit me up, PTB Media Network at gmail.com, or slide me a DM on Twitter at PTB_media, or at my other account that you see there on the screen at Mike Agostinho. That's at MikeAgostinho. All right, here we go. So before we get into the Brasileirao action, let's go with today's news. And it starts back in England where we were yesterday. We spent a lot of time talking about England yesterday. Today, it's once again Liverpool is the topic. Now, we talked about them yesterday in regard to their performance last Saturday in the FA Cup final. They managed to lift the cup. It was not the best football match. Two teams that know each other very well. Nobody willing to give an inch. Today, a much different looking Liverpool squad went into the St. Mary's Stadium to take on Southampton, and they took them on today. Southampton down near the bottom of the table. They are safe from relegation, but they're not much better than that. Liverpool, title aspirations in the balance, hanging in the balance, and Jurgen Klopp forced to make several changes to this team. Almost a fully second choice 11. And if you're gonna put your second choice out there, you got to be glad that you are Liverpool Football Club, because they get the job done today on the road. Tough conditions, very tired team, missing a lot of key guys, but they did what they had to do to take this race for the championship to the final day. Now, had Liverpool lost today, okay, Manchester City would be celebrating their second straight EPL title right now as we speak. Okay, it is Tuesday, May the 17th. It is 8 p.m. here on the East Coast of the United States. You're going to be watching this shortly thereafter. And if you're watching this right now as I'm putting it on live, which it should drop after 9 o'clock, it's sometime after 9 o'clock. If you're watching live and you're not watching the NBA right now, and you're not watching the Boston Celtics and the Miami Heat, I give you an extra special thank you. I'm not expecting a large live audience tonight. I hope you guys catch it after the fact, either in the morning or you catch it on the podcast, because this is still first and foremost a podcast. Okay. Back to Liverpool. Okay. Liverpool today traveling to Southampton. They needed to get the 3 points. Even 1 point would have pretty much sewed up the title for Manchester City, and they'd be celebrating in the streets of Manchester, in the blue half of Manchester right now, if that had happened. Even if it is, 1 a.m. right now in Manchester, it don't matter. They would be partying it up right now on a Tuesday night. But it didn't happen. Liverpool came through despite falling behind early. They get 2 goals and they win 2-1 Okay, so everything comes down to the final day on Sunday. Manchester City hosting Aston Villa, Liverpool hosting Wolves. If City win, they are champions. If City slip up at all and Liverpool win, Liverpool will be champions for the second time in 3 years. So I can't wait to see what happens Sunday. And this means I do have to put out a preview episode early Sunday morning. I'll record it sometime Saturday and get it out to you early Sunday morning and see what we can watch for 1 hour after Liverpool and City kick off in their respective matches. In the south of Europe, in Italy, the two Milan clubs will also kick off in their respective matches, and one of them will win the Scudetto. It'll either be the Rossoneri or the Nerazzurri, either AC Milan or Inter Milan. I'll have a preview of that as well later on this week, Sunday morning. So look for it wherever you get this show. Of course, if you want to see it before the matches, you're going to have to watch on YouTube or on Twitter. I prefer you go to YouTube, or even better, watch it on www.parkingthebusmedia.com. I put all the videos up there, and I'll try to get the live one up there as well early Sunday morning for all of y'all. Okay, moving on. Now, we stay in England. EFL Championship Promotion Playoffs. Leg number 2 tonight of semifinal number 2. Nottingham Forest at the City Ground hosting Sheffield United. You'll remember that the first leg went to Nottingham Forest in Sheffield. They edged the Blades 2-1 in that first leg. And if you caught my blog post today at BTV at betterthan.vegas/Mr. Benfica, if you went there and you read my blog post and you read my predictions today, I said that I put in that Nottingham Forest would advance. I also thought they were going to beat the 1.5 goal, over under that the bookkeepers had set for them. They did not do that. I was incredibly disappointed in Nottingham Forest in this one. They got on the board early. They went ahead 1-0, making it 3-1 on aggregate. I thought they'd be coasting at that point, playing at home. But you know what? You remove the away goals, and suddenly away teams seem to win more. They seem to challenge even more than they did before. It's been a great thing for the game of football to scrap the away goals rule, I have to say. It has opened up these games, and Sheffield United come flying back early in the second half. They get a goal, make it 1-1. They get another one later on. It's 2-1, and this one goes to extra time. And because both matches finished 2-1, with each team winning 2-1 on the road, the road team won each of these matches. It's very interesting. And after extra time, still deadlocked at 3-3 on aggregate. This one goes to penalties. And Forest goalkeeper Bryce Samba was the star of the penalty shootout. First of all, some people didn't appreciate his antics. He was playing some mind games, if you will, with the Sheffield United penalty takers. He took his sweet time like I have never seen a goalkeeper in arriving to his goal line. He left Sheffield Wednesday's first shooter just waiting, taking his time, making him think about it, I suppose, making himself look big. And right on the first shot, Bryce Samba saves it, diving to his right, makes a great save. Forest converts on their first one, step up to the second shot, and it's Bryce Samba again. He ends up not even guessing on this one. On the second one, he just sticks out his left arm and makes a save right off of his wrist, right off of here. Unbelievable. The ball hits him, hits the bar, stays out. He makes 2 saves in the first 2 shots. It comes down to the end. Forest with a chance to win it in their 4th shot. They miss. They sail one over, but have no fear because Bryce Samba is here. He steps up and he makes another save on Sheffield Wednesday's final shot. 3-2 is the final tally in penalties. Nottingham Forest on their way to Wembley on May the 29th, Sunday, May the 29th. They're going to take on Huddersfield Town in the EFL promotion playoff championship, or the playoff final, in the EFL championship. And the winner of that match, that one match, okay, minimum 90 minutes, possible 120, possible penalty shootout, Winner of that match will take the final spot in next year's Premier League. So both sets of fans are going to be very fired up for this. Nottingham Forest is in a historic club. I mean, I cannot see Nottingham Forest and not think about the great Brian Clough. Every time I hear that name, I mean, I have spent hours of my adulthood on YouTube watching Brian Clough interviews, watching Brian Clough, matches that he managed, watching Nottingham Forest win their 2 European Cups under Brian Clough, win their English Championship under Brian Clough. The movie Damned United, I mean, all about Brian Clough. If you haven't seen it, you got to see it. I think that there will be an episode somewhere in this season of Parking the Bus where I review that movie. I have a very good feeling about that. I'm thinking about spinning off into some different content. I have an idea for a sort of spin-off show that really won't be part of the podcast. It'll be a YouTube exclusive maybe that I'll put on the YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe. I'll talk about some off the pitch stuff. I'll review some movies, some books, some documentaries. I'll talk about non-football related things as well. If people want me to talk about something, I'm up for it. I'm not really up to date on much in Hollywood, but if it's something classic and nostalgic, I'm your guy. All right. Uh, Football or soccer history is really one of my biggest passions, almost as much as watching and covering, the current game. I love the old stuff. I love the nostalgic stuff, and I really want to get into talking about that more. And I think I'm going to be able to create a space there for sporadic, spin-off episodes, if you will, that will go to those sort of special subscribers. So make sure you subscribe to this show on YouTube. If you're listening to the podcast, I will have the link to my YouTube channel in the show notes to the PTV Media Network YouTube channel. This is going to grow into a network now. This year, that is my goal, to grow this into a network. It's not a monetary goal. It's not a goal of a certain number of listeners or viewers. It's literally to grow this organically into a real network with multiple content, different content for which, different people can enjoy. All right. That is today's headlines. We're not always going to have headlines, but today I thought we needed to do that. And I think tomorrow, if you're not aware, tomorrow is the final of the UEFA Europa League. I will be recording after the match, and I'll be airing it tomorrow night. Okay. My reaction review of the Europa League final. Plus, I'll get into some Liga MX playoffs as well, because the semifinals start tomorrow night. So there's a lot of stuff coming your way. But without further ado, if you're still watching, you're here for one thing. That's for the Brasileirao. You guys know by now how much the Mr. loves the Brasileirao. This is now my 4th, I think, season of watching the Brasileirao really closely. 3rd season really covering it in this type of format. And I'm looking forward to it, of course. The defending champions are Atletico Mineiro. I know the show went dark at the end of last season, so you didn't get to hear me cover the conclusion to the season, but an absolutely fantastic season for Atletico Mineiro. They blew it out of the water last year. They won the Brasileirão. They were the champions, okay? And we saw Flamengo make a run late last year to try to make a comeback, but it was a little bit too late for Flamengo last year. And they're not off to a good start again this year, Flamengo. Of course, they were the champions a season before, or the 2 seasons prior to that. They were back-to-back champions in 2019 under Jorge Jesus, JJ. I'm probably going to mention his name again today, unfortunately, because he just can't leave Flamengo alone. He really is starting. Now he's moved on, and he's going to be the manager at Fenerbahce, from what I understand, in Turkey. But not before he stirs the pot and puts the current Flamengo manager under unnecessary pressure. Probably going to get to that when I talk about Flamengo. But they were the champions under him in 2019, and then under Rogério Ceni in 2020. Last year, of course, like we said, Cuca was the manager that took Atlético Mineiro over the hump to the title, and nearly also took him to the Copa Libertadores as well last season. And if you are a fan of the Copa Libertadores, I will be back later this week. Yes, I have it scheduled out. I'm going to be recapping Copa Libertadores and Copa Sudamericana Okay, that'll probably come out sometime on Friday. Stay tuned to the Twitter at PTB_media or at MikeAgostinho at Mike Agostinho, and I will let you know when those shows will drop. Okay, whether it's on video or in podcast form. I will be covering the round of Copa Libertadores that it's actually underway right now as we speak. But now back to the Brasileirão. A lot of coaching changes heading into this 2022 season. I'm going to pull them up here and I'm going to begin to read them for you. Okay. There have been a plethora of changes. Okay. I'm going to start with the ones that were made in the preseason. Some of these were made, and the manager that came in to replace them, the old manager has already been sacked or has already stepped down, and a new manager had come in. So we start with Flamengo. Mauricio Souza took over the team up until December the 9th in preseason. He was replaced on December the 29th by Portuguese manager Paulo Souza. This is a guy that, as a player, I knew very well in the 90s, basically, when he played. The height of his career came in the 90s. He was a player, a staple in Portugal's midfield. One of the best number sixes to play this game, I think, in the history of the game. A true number six, a true maestro, if you will, on the pitch of just orchestrating and directing traffic in front of him, almost playing like a center back, but in the midfield. It's a guy that knows the game of football. And although at my club in Portugal, he's not regarded very highly because he did betray us back in the summer of '93. But that doesn't change that the man was a talented footballer, and I do believe he has a good football mind. But he's finding it hard at Flamengo, and I just mentioned before Flamengo's former manager, Jorge Jesus, JJ, who left Flamengo in 2020 to take over my club, to take over Benfica in Portugal, and to not succeed. Okay, there's no way you can call his second tenure at Benfica anything but a failure. Always flirting with Flamengo at the entire time, always flirting at a possible return, always putting unnecessary pressure on whoever the manager for Flamengo was, whether it was Rogério Ceni and I'm already forgetting the name of the Spanish manager that was there before him, and I actually really felt bad for this manager, and I've forgotten his name, and I apologize. But no matter who the manager was, there was this ghost of JJ always casting over. Yeah, he had a historic 1-year spell. It wasn't even an entire season. It was half. It ended up being a season actually, but his lore and his shining moments were all in a 6-month period of time, winning a Brasileirão, winning the Libertadores for Flamengo. And ever since then, he's just been a shadow that won't go away for this club. He's already done it again this season. He puts Paulo Souza under unnecessary pressure. Says things like he could be the Flamengo manager after May the 28th, or he threw out some arbitrary date like that. I think that was the date when his contract with Benfica officially ends. He was getting paid after leaving the club earlier this season on mutual accord. And again, Paulo Souza's having a rough go of it. He didn't win the Carioca. He has not started the Brasileirão well, and he has done well in the Libertadores right now. I think that's what's keeping him employed at the moment, because I think the pressure is just going to continue to mount. Flamengo continue to drop points. It's not a good start. There's plenty of Campeonato, plenty of championship in front, plenty of league football to play going forward for the Mengo. It's not time to panic, but let me tell you that the pressure has to be just incredible on top of Paulo Souza right now. But he is the manager, still employed at Flamengo. I hope he does well. I really am rooting for Paulo Souza in this job with this club. And if you follow the show, this is the club I kind of have a soft spot for in Brazilian football. There's no question about it. I will be impartial. But I don't deny that when asked. There are a couple clubs I have stronger feelings for. Um, the emotional attachment definitely is to Flamengo. I have some other attachments, some interest in some of the other clubs also that I am rooting for them on a different level. But regardless, I do hope that Paulo Sousa gets things turned around and gets Flamengo going in the right direction once again. Okay, their cross Rio rivals, Fluminense. Okay, Marco was demoted to assistant manager on the 15th of December, and in came Abel Braga. Abel Braga has managed like every team in the Brasileirão in his career. He's a former Flamengo manager. He's a former uh, Internacional Porto Alegre manager. For you name it, he has managed the team. He took over on December the 15th at Fluminense. Inter, speaking of Internacional, Inter Porto Alegre, uh, Diego Aguirre left the club on December 15th, also in the preseason mutual agreement, replaced by Alexander Medina, Uruguayan for Uruguayan change there in management. So the man, okay, and I'm going to continue to go down the changes that happened in the preseason. Cuiabá, um, their contract expired with their manager, Jorginho. Jorginho was out at the end of December, and Eduardo Oliveira was appointed as the caretaker manager on the 21st of January. And another big one, the champions, Athletico Mineiro, their manager, Cuca, he resigned at the end of the calendar year 2021 after winning the Brasileirão, after lifting the trophy. Cuca steps down, and again, I'm going to say JJ's name again, Jorge Jesus. He was rumored to be the one to take over. Can you imagine? Can you just imagine the telenovela that would have erupted in Brazilian football if that man came back and went right to the champions, Atlético Mineiro? The expectations to go win the Libertadores would have been through the roof at that point. That deal was not done, but Atletico Mineiro made a great signing for manager. Fans of Mexican football are going to recognize this name. It's Antonio El Turco Mohamed, former manager of Monterrey, among other teams in Mexican football. Very, very successful manager in Mexico. Now, he is Argentine. He comes to Brazil. He takes over Atletico Mineiro. He takes over the champions on the 13th of January. Moving into the state leagues, okay, a lot of changes made here again. Silvino is sacked by Corinthians. He's sacked on the 3rd of February, replaced by Fernando Lázaro on the 4th of February as a caretaker. Lázaro is just a caretaker. Eduardo Oliveira, he ends his caretaker spell shortly after it begins. A week later at Cuiabá, he is replaced by Pintado the next day, 4th of January. Avaí sacks Claudinei Oliveira, and he is replaced by a caretaker, Fabrício Bento. Atlético Goianense, their manager, Marcelo Cabo, resigns on February the 7th, replaced by a caretaker as well, Eduardo Souza, on the 7th of February. Juventude, they sack Jair Ventura on the 11th of February, and Eduardo Barros is appointed caretaker. Botafogo sack Anderson Moreira on the 11th of February. Also, a lot of these sackings happening early on in the state leagues. If you're not familiar with Brazilian football, before the National League, before the Brasileirão starts, all of the different states in Brazil have their own championships. So some of these teams, a team like Palmeiras, and especially the São Paulo teams have a bigger championship, play some 60 to 70 matches a season. Okay, they play an insane amount of matches. It's not just one team that goes all the way in every, like in Europe, for example, Liverpool, I think, are going to play the maximum of 66 matches this season because they made it to the final of every competition and played the maximum amount of matches in every competition they were entered. In Brazil, several teams are going to play 70 matches this season because of the way the championships break down between the state championship, whether it's the Copa Libertadores or the Copa Sudamericana or the Copa do Brasil and the Brasileirão. They're going to play a whole ton of matches in a calendar year. There's only a couple of weeks off, And the Brazilian football basically runs year round. Okay, continuing with the changes. Okay, Fabrício Bento's caretaker spell ends on the 13th of February for Avaí, and a new caretaker no, sorry, not a new caretaker. It's Eduardo Barroca who is assigned on the 13th of February. Santos sacked their manager Fabio Carilli on the 18th, and the next day Marcelo Fernandes is appointed caretaker. Actually, on the same day, the 18th of February. Uh, Athletico Goianiense, they have Eduardo Souza leaving as his caretaker spell ends. Actually, I'm just going to give you right here 4 managers caretaker spell end on between the 21st and 25th of February. Eduardo Souza at Athletico Goianiense, Fernando Lázaro at Corinthians, Glauber Ramos at Goiás, and Marcelo Fernandes at Santos all exit in the month of February from their caretaker spells. Replacing them at Athletico Goianiense, it's Humberto Lozer, and at Corinthians, a big signing. It is another Portuguese manager entering Brazilian football. This is a very good Portuguese manager. This guy is more modern. This guy has won not just in Portugal but in Turkey, and he's won in China, if I'm not mistaken, as well. He's well traveled. It is Vitor Pereira. He is the new manager at Corinthians, and we're going to talk about Corinthians in just a minute and how they have gotten off to a flying start this season under Vitor Pereira. Bruno Pivetti takes over at Goiás, and Fabian Bustos, the Argentine, takes over at Santos. Juventude end the caretaker spell for their caretaker, Eduardo Barros, and replace him with Eduardo Batista. Bruno Pivetti is sacked not long thereafter. He lasts a month in charge of Goiás, sacked on the 24th of March, replaced by Glauber Ramos. We've already mentioned his name. He was the former caretaker manager, and 1 month later, once again, the caretaker at Goiás. Ceará sack Thiago Nunes. He's replaced by Dorival Jr. Botafogo promoted from Serie B. Botafogo with a huge influx of cash from an American investor that I also have made myself somewhat familiar with because he was also linked with my other club, with my club. It didn't happen there. He made an investment at Crystal Palace in England, and he makes an investment at Botafogo in Brazil. I'm talking about John Textor, the original founder of Fubo TV. He injects cash into Botafogo and appoints Portuguese manager Luis Castro on the 25th of March to replace Lucio Flavio, whose caretaker spell ended. Athletico Paranaense and Alberto Valentim part ways by mutual agreement. Same for América Mineiro and Marquinhos Santos. Those both on the 10th and 11th of April, respectively. They're replaced. Fabio Carilli, we said his name earlier when he was sacked. He had been sacked by Santos. Now he is in charge of Athletico Paranaense. He takes over for the Hurricanes, while Wagner Mancini takes over at the América Mineiro. Glauber Ramos' caretaker spell ends at Goiás on the 14th of April, replaced by Jair Ventura. You start to see the coaching carousel here in Brazilian football. A lot of the names start to get recycled and start to go around and around the carousel through different clubs. All right, continuing to move on. Inter Porto Alegre sack Alexander Medina. The Uruguayan is sacked on the 15th of April, and he's replaced by Juan de Almeida as a caretaker. And I believe Juan de Almeida is still in charge at Inter Porto Alegre. Fluminense and Abel Braga part ways. Abel resigns on the 28th of April. Did not last very long for Abel. In this Abel at Fluminense, he's replaced by Fernando Diniz on the 30th of April, 2 days later. Fabio Carilli, we've talked about him. His name goes around the carousel, right? Fabio Carilli sacked on May the 4th already in the Brasileirao. Sacked just 2 weeks ago by Athletico Paranaense, and now they make a huge signing. Athletico Paranaense bring in Big Phil, the legend, Luis Felipe Scolari, known as Filipão, very known very affectionately as Filipão by the Brazilians. He takes over for the Hurricanes, Ufuracão. Atlético Paranaense, a very strong team. They won the Copa Sudamericana last season, remember. This is not a small club by any means. They make a big signing in terms of manager, bringing in Filipão there on the 4th of May. Cuiabá sacked Pintado on the 12th of May, just 5 days ago. They bring in Luis Fernando Eubel, and Eubel is a caretaker, but still obviously in charge right now. And just yesterday, it's a good thing I waited to start this podcast. Just yesterday, Humberto Lozer sacked Athletico Goianense. He is replaced by Jorginho, the former manager of, I believe I said Cuiabá, correct? Yes, Jorginho, whose contract ended at Cuiabá at the end of the last calendar year. He's back in the workforce. He is in charge of Athletico Goianense. Did you get all that? Did you write that down? That is the coaching carousel. If I were to come back in a month and do this again, I bet there'd be another 10 changes. It is not unfamiliar to sack and reappoint managers in Brazil. It is part of the culture. You don't get results, a couple of weeks in a row, and your job is on the line. It don't matter who you are, don't matter what you've done, don't matter the size of your club. Nobody wants to get relegated. Everybody wants to get into the CONMEBOL spots, and everybody wants to be the champion. All right, let's move on then. Talking about the first 6-7 weeks of the season, okay, we get an emergence early on by Botafogo. I talked about Botafogo and the money that was injected into the club by John Textor, the American investor, bringing in Luis Castro. Luis Castro, another experienced Portuguese manager. He's won titles in multiple countries, most recently with Shakhtar Donetsk in the Ukraine. Before everything that's going on in the Ukraine happened, he was in charge there. He had a very, very strong core nucleus of Brazilian players at the Ukraine. At Shakhtar Donetsk in the Ukraine, and I'm just coming to mind Luis Merlos, coming to mind. Some of these are naturalized Ukrainians that played for Ukraine, but they are Brazilian-born. A big name was Tyson. We saw Tyson last season playing for Inter Porto Alegre in the Brasileirao, but I remember him at Shakhtar Donetsk, and he played some really brilliant football under Luis Castro at Shakhtar Donetsk and under Paulo Fonseca before Luis Castro. So Shakhtar Donetsk had a lineage of Portuguese managers going for quite some time. And now Luis Castro makes his way to Botafogo, and and they're off to a great start for a promoted side, especially. They are living out a dream right now. I don't think even the most passionate Botafogo fan would have believed the Glorioso would be sitting in the top 4 after 6 rounds of the Brasileirao. Okay. Also, Corinthians off to a flying start. I talked about Vitor Pereira. He is a motivator. He's a man manager. He is a pretty tough manager. He's demanding, but it looks like it is working well for Vitor Pereira. And I just noticed I forgot to mention that Inter Porto Alegre's new manager, I forgot to mention, is now Manu Menezes, the former Brazil national team manager. He takes over, after Medina was sacked, and he took over for the caretaker 4 days after Caio Dalmeida was put in charge as caretaker. So back to talking about Corinthians. They're at the top of the table to start the season. They have started flying, okay? The Timão, as they're known, just getting results early. Their fan base is motivated. They are one of the biggest clubs in Brazil. There's often a big dispute about who the biggest club in Brazil is or who the most supported club in Brazil is. Flamengo says it's them. Corinthians says it's them. And this is often a cultural battle and an argument between these two very, very massive. I can't even begin to tell you how massive these fan bases are. Also, Atletico Mineiro staying at the top. They are just absolutely consistent. You know they're going to be there all season. Again, El Turco Mohamed in charge of Atletico Mineiro, and he's not going to change too much. He's a smart guy. Again, he won titles in Mexico. He understands Latin American football. He's an Argentine himself. And I think that was a great appointment by Athletico Mineiro. I'm excited to see what he's going to do in Brazil. I'm excited to see if there's a language barrier, if that becomes an issue. If not, I'm excited to see just if what kind, how this team evolves and what kind of physicality they grow into. As I just got an alert, Flamengo have gone up 1-0 on Universidad Católica in Copa Libertadores, and I'll review these matches later in the week. But yeah, those are the three teams really surprised. Also, São Paulo up there as well after 6 rounds, sitting in third, just slightly ahead of Botafogo on goal difference. Okay, Palmeiras starts a little bit slower. Okay, they also played a lot of football. They played a lot in the São Paulo Championship. They played 2 Super Cups. They played the Supercopa do Brasil. They played the Recopa Sudamericana. Okay, and they're winning trophies. Palmeiras under Abel Ferreira, excuse me, his name just escaped me. Another Portuguese manager who is succeeding, and he has really made a huge name for himself in Brazil. He he's going into his third season now in charge of Palmeiras. He's won the last 2 Libertadores. Really inspired his team. His players will die on the pitch for this man. But it is starting to be said, can he deliver the title? Can he deliver the Brasileirao? Not just the Copa do Brasil, not just the Copa Libertadores. The fan base, the Verdão, the fan base of Palmeiras wants to win the Brazilian title. And there will be pressure on Abel Ferreira this year to accomplish that, to get close to that. I mean, he finished second a couple seasons ago. It may have been last season as well. He may have come in second. Right now, it's escaping me. But this year, the supporters, the Torcida, want to see Palmeiras win the title. That's the only thing missing from Abel Ferreira's CV in Brazilian football. He's literally won everything else. So we'll see how that goes. They started slowly, but they have done well in Copa Libertadores. They've done well, like I said, in the Supercopa and in the Recopa. Palmeiras are a strong team. I mean, I think they're more of a cup team, to be honest. I think they're built more for cup football, and I think Abel Ferreira is more of a cup manager, and that's why he's having the success he's having in the Copa do Brasil, in the Super Copas, in the Copa Libertadores, and it's hard to win the league. It's hard to win a 38-round league championship when you play those 38 rounds in the space of about 6 months. This is not like a European league, okay? This is not spread out. Very, very condensed. You are playing twice a week, every week. If you're not playing 2 league games, you're playing in the Copa do Brasil, or you're playing in the Copa Libertadores / Copa Sudamericana. Very, very hard to win the Brazilian league. A lot of matches, a lot of travel. Europeans do not realize that until they land on Brazilian shores, until they get into this league and realize just how much travel requires. Every away game is a big, it's a big journey. It's a long distance. Brazil itself is as big as Europe. I mean, I'm probably bigger. I don't have the square mileage off the top of my head, but I imagine there's, even more travel in Brazil and in South America. I mean, some of the trips in Libertadores, you got to go from Brazil all the way up to Ecuador, all the way down to the tip of Chile. I mean, there's miles and miles and miles to be traveled. South America is a much bigger continent than Europe, and I think this is an adjustment for any European that goes to play in South America. But again, this is going to be a very, very exciting season. I am looking forward to this Brasileirão season. It's just getting started. And if you want to know where you can see Brasileirão 2022. All you have to do is subscribe to Paramount Plus. They've got it all there. Every match, they're all there. You can't miss it. Pick your team. They're all there. They play them all. I mean, you can't beat it. If you want, especially if you want the coverage in English, Paramount Plus is your ticket. Okay, the price is cheap. It does not cost a lot to get Paramount Plus. And if you're a football fan, how do you not have Paramount Plus already? Brasileirão is not the only thing playing there. We got the UEFA Champions League, the Serie A, CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers, and Nations League is there as well. NWSL Women's League is there. Tons of league. Argentine football is there as well. You got to be watching Paramount Plus at this moment. Excuse me, I thought I was going to sneeze there. So moving on. Teams not starting so well in this edition of the Brasileirão. Athletico Paranaense, Flamengo, and Fortaleza. Fortaleza is in the Libertadores, but they're in last place right now after 6 rounds. They are struggling. Fortaleza yet to register a single victory domestically. They've only played 5 matches, so they got a match in hand on most of the competition. But Fortaleza, need to turn it around. They got to get out of that relegation zone. And Flamengo and Athletico Paranaense are right there. The only thing keeping them above the line right now is goal difference. Absolutely crazy right now. All 3 of those teams really got to get it together, or they're going to be in for a fight they don't want to have. Last season, São Paulo was near the drop zone most of the season, and now you see them starting much better this year. So this is a difficult league, man. This is a difficult league. I can't stress enough what goes on from one season to another. It is not easy to maintain dominance at the top of the table. It's not just about spending money in Brazil. You have a limitation on foreign players. Looking at it here, I have the list of foreign players right now. América Mineiro has 5 foreign players. They've got Orlando Berrio, a Colombian, Juan Pablo Ramirez, German Conti is Argentine, Raul Cáceres of Paraguay, and Aloisio, it has a Chinese flag next to him, so he must be a Chinese citizen. Athletico Paranaense has the full allotment of 8 foreign players. Athletico Goianiense has 3. So, I mean, some teams have a lot of foreigners, some don't. Not easy to get foreigners necessarily into a Brazilian team. There's a couple of players who do not count as a foreign player because they hold dual Brazilian nationality. I talked about one of them, Luis Marlos, the former Shakhtar Donetsk player, now at Athletico Paranaense, playing for Luis Felipe Scolari. Junior Moraes also played in the Ukraine for he was at Dynamo Kiev, if I'm not mistaken. He might have been at I think he was at Dynamo Kiev. But he also played for the Ukrainian national team, but he is a Brazilian-born player, holds Brazilian dual nationality. He does not count. Neither does Johnny Cardozo. He is an American who is, I believe he was born in the United States, raised in Brazil, or vice versa. He plays for the United States national team, but he is a Brazilian. Also, Shiku is a Korea international, but he is a Brazilian born. He plays for Juventude. Johnny Cardozo plays for Inter, if I hadn't said that. Andrea Anderson and Eder of São Paulo are Italian players, but with Brazilian dual nationality. And São Paulo's João Moreira, Portuguese and Brazilian dual nationality. Just to sum up, the makeup of this league. Top teams are struggling. Some of the top teams are struggling. Teams playing in multiple competitions have a balancing act that they have to juggle. It is very difficult, like I said, in this league, and with the limitations on foreign players, the limitations in the different budgets of the different clubs make it, more or less difficult also. But right now, I'll go through as Corinthians have just scored. Again, I'll talk about this later, but Corinthians have gone up 1-0 on the road at Boca Juniors. That is a big result whenever you get Brazilians versus Argentines. Man, that is the magic that makes South American football. All right, let's take a look at the table, and then I'll look at the top scorers for you so you can see where we are right now. And starting next week, we'll break down round by round in this league. Okay, so Corinthians, as I said, are the leaders. They've played 6 matches. They got 13 points, 4 victories, 1 draw, 1 defeat. Atlético Mineiro, the champions, are second, only 1 point behind. They've got 3 victories, 3 draws, 1 defeat. They've played 7, so they got an extra match. São Paulo are third, 11 points. Okay, 3 victories, 2 draws, 1 defeat. Interestingly enough, there are no undefeated teams left in Brasileirão after 6 or 7 rounds. Some teams have only played 5, but nobody is undefeated. Everybody has already lost a match. That's how balanced this league is and how competitive this league can be. There's other criticisms you can make about this league that are valid, but you cannot say it is not competitive, and you cannot say that it is easy to win in this league. It is very hard to win in this league. You have to travel, you have to play a lot of matches in a congested schedule, a congested calendar, and you have to perform. You can't have an off day. As you can see, everybody loses matches, everybody drops points. You can never rest. Your lead is never safe in Brasileiro. Continuing on, Botafogo are fourth. I talked about them quite a bit already. They have 11 points, excuse me, with 10 points. Santos Football Club, or Football Club, are fifth, 10 points. Curitiba also on 10 in sixth. Avaí also with 10. They're in seventh. América Mineiro are eighth with 9 points. And then you find Palmeiras right there with them, also on 9 points in ninth. And so is one of my other favorite teams, another team I'm always clamoring about. And I'm really disappointed with the start of the season for this team. They're doing all right in the Libertadores, but not as well as I would like. And they did not start the Brasileirão as well as I was like. I tooted their horn. I was high on this team all last season, and they were very good until the end. They kind of died there at the finish line, getting to the Sudamericana final against Athletico Paranaense, but not getting across the finish line, and then dropping points in the final days of the league, really dropping down the table. I'm talking about Red Bull Bragantino. They are a team I'm very interested in. If you haven't figured out whether I'm talking German football or I'm talking MLS or I'm talking Brazilian football or whatever, I have a special interest in a lot of these Red Bull clubs. I have to admit, I like the model. I don't know if the model's right for football, if it's best for football. I think it's very smart, though. And if there isn't anything preventing it, I think it is incredibly smart, the model that Red Bull has. And you've seen this Bragantino, come from the Serie B straight to the Serie A, into the Sudamericana, to the Sudamericana final, to this year in the Copa Libertadores. It's been a perfect ascendancy. And I think they're going to develop players that you're going to see playing at Leipzig and playing at Red Bull Salzburg in Europe very, very soon. There's some players there I really like. And yeah, I'm sure I'm going to talk about them a lot this season. 11th place, also on 9 points. We got 4 teams on 9 points here. It is Inter Porto Alegre, Internacional, if you want to use their full name. They have 9 points, 2 victories, 3 draws, and 1 defeat. Fluminense, the Rio champions, are 12th on 8 points. Same number of points as 13th place Goiás. Cuiabá, one of the surprises, one of the pleasant surprises of last season, starting a little slower this year. They are 14th on 7 points. And then I get into the teams I said disappointing start, teams that have to snap out of this really quickly. I'm talking about Athletico Paranaense and Flamengo, 15th and 16th respectively, on only 6 points from 6 matches. That's 1 point per match. Not good enough for these teams. They have to turn it around. Juventude are 17th. They're also on 6 points. 18th is Ceará. 19th, Atlético Goianiense. And like I said, a team that was a huge sensation last season. A team that that punched above their weight all season last year. Fortaleza, sitting in 20th place and last place right now. And if they don't turn it around quick, it's going to get dangerous very, very quickly. Like I said, these games come fast and furious. And if you get into poor form, if you get into a rut, it is so hard to play your way out of it. You don't have time to train in the Brasileirão. You have to play your way out of trouble. And very hard to be a manager in this league, given those circumstances. All right. The stats in the scoring lead. Okay, looking for the golden boot, if you will. Jonathan Caleri is the leader with 6 goals. He plays for São Paulo. Hulk, remember him, long time Porto and uh, long time St. Petersburg player. Zenit St. Petersburg. Thank you. That name was escaping me. Long time Zenit St. Petersburg player. Hulk, he's got 4 goals, as does Edison of Botafogo, Leo Gamalho of Coritiba, and Elvis of Goiás also have 4 goals. Those are the leading goal scorers right now. In terms of goalkeepers, uh, in term you got Renan, who is top right now, and oh, this is the goals conceded title. Sorry about that. That's the wrong statistic. I do apologize. Looking at clean sheets, I guess we can look at for goalkeepers. You've got Everson of Athletico Mineiro, Weverton of Palmeiras, and Cássio of Corinthians, all with 3 clean sheets, leading the way for the Golden Gloves there. Okay, assists, the lead belongs to Flamengo's Uruguayan Georgian D'Arrascaeta. He's got 3, as does Rafael Veiga, and Bruno Praxedes has 2 assists. Bruno Praxedes, of course, of Red Bull Bragantino, but he is injured at the moment, so hopefully we see him back soon. Okay, switching gears before we go today, I'm going to take you now to the Copa do Brasil, and let's see how things are going in the Brazilian National Cup, okay? We're still early on in this competition, and I'm going to pull up right now to show you how we are doing in that competition. And I should have had this ready, but here we go. Brazil Cup, or Copa do Brasil. Okay, last Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday were, if I'm not, were the second legs. Okay, Atlético Mineiro 2-0 winners over CSA. Azuris lose on penalties to Bahia. Bahia this year in Serie B. Athletico Paranaense take care of Tocantinópolis 4-0. Ceará beat Tombense 2-0. Juazeirense 1, Palmeiras 2, Flamengo 2, Altos 0, Corinthians 2, Portuguesas Rio de Janeiro 0, Vila Nova 0, Fluminense 2, Cuiabá 0, Atlético Goianense 0, Atlético Goianense win on penalties. Thursday we saw Vitória 0, Fortaleza 1, Cruzeiro 1, Remo 0. That took it to penalties on aggregate, and Cruzeiro advance in the Copa do Brasil. São Paulo win 2-0 over Juventude. Botafogo 3-0 winners over Ceilândia, and Santos 3-0 winners over Curitiba. 2 fixtures still to play in this round. Brasilense of Brasilia hosting the champions, the league champions, that is Atlético Mineiro. That's going to be on Sunday, 6 p.m. And on Tuesday, and I say Sunday, not this Sunday, but Sunday, this Sunday, May the 22nd, and on Tuesday, May the 31st, Red Bull Bragantino host Goiás. Okay, so we don't have the next round drawn out yet. When we do have that, I will share it with you. This is probably going to be a Monday show, maybe Tuesday. I don't know when we're going to do Brasileirão, if it's going to be Mondays or Tuesdays. So just stay tuned and, again, follow the social media. Little programming note coming up before I run out of time here today. Coming this summer, there's more content coming, as I said. More tournaments to look at. Yesterday, I talked about the Women's Euro 2022, and I talked about November, obviously, being the FIFA World Cup. Also, this summer, we've got UEFA and CONCACAF Nations League to go over. That's coming in June. We got some friendlies this summer as well. And also coming up this weekend, okay? Big matches this weekend I want to draw some attention to. The UEFA Women's Champions League final is this Saturday. It's, I believe, a 2 p.m. Eastern time start here in the United States, 8 p.m. 7 p.m. local time. So that would make it 1 p.m. here in the United States. 7 p.m. local time in Torino, Italy, in Juventus's Allianz Stadium. It will be the two best teams in the world squaring off. It's going to be phenomenal. I can't wait to watch this match on Saturday. It's going to be Olympique Lyon, the dynasty, if you will, for ever winning Champions League after Champions League. They were dethroned last season's champions, Football Club Barcelona. If you have not seen these girls play, you are missing out. You have to see Barcelona's women's team play. This final is going to be off the charts. I cannot wait. That's this Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Check your listings, though. That also is on Paramount Plus, just like the Brasileirao. If you don't have Paramount Plus yet, you should. End of story. Don't be like the U.S. national team fans complaining about everything going behind a paywall. You know what? When things go on streaming, they are just done better. It's about the football. It's not about the commercials. You get much better coverage. You get much more coverage. Go out there, subscribe to Paramount Plus if you love football. You can't live without it. I know I can't. Also, coming up this week, like I said, we've got the EFL League One playoff final this Saturday. I'll talk about that when the match comes up this Saturday. Plus, Sunday, like I said, I'll have a preview of Decision Day for the EPL and for the Serie A in Italy. Okay. Plus, of course, MLS coverage coming your way. Liga MX playoffs also coming your way. So much to talk about. You better follow this where you're watching. All right. Go to YouTube. Go to the PTV Media Network YouTube channel. Hit subscribe. Do not miss out. And follow on Twitter at PTV_media. All right. Everything will stream there as well. I'll see you next time. I'll be back tomorrow. Like I said, we'll have Europa League final tomorrow. Frankfurt versus Rangers. Can I tell you how many of my parlays Rangers have destroyed in this run to the final? Will I finally pick them tomorrow? You'll have to check out my page on BTV tomorrow on betterthan.vegas/Mr. Benfica to see if I finally pick Rangers or if I'm going to go with Frankfurt. We'll see what I go with. All right. That's it for today. Thank you for joining. I am the Mr. Mike Agostinho signing off. Also coming tomorrow at some point, I will be recording a episode of Mr. Benfica, closing out the men's football season. I'm done with the men's senior football team. Season's over. It's one to forget. I'll close the door on it tomorrow. So if you're a Benfica fan, or if you want to laugh at our misery, check that out. It'll drop in your podcast player sometime the next day. But that's it for today. That's it for Parking the Bus. Thank you for joining me on this episode 79. I'll see you tomorrow. Signing off, the Mr. Mike Agostinho saying, peace out.